What we're going to talk about today is really what is the mystic experience, right? What the heck is it? And why is it important? What's the role of someone who's a mystic? And how Tarot kind of illustrates this path and kind of unlocking those, what the Tarot says about it through the Tarot tableau. And we're looking at the stages of spiritual unfoldment or awakening, and then looking at how we can use Tarot to connect to our inner wisdom and guidance. All right. So what is the mystic experience? And I love this picture. This is by Salvador Dali, and it's called The Ascension. And to me, it's just kind of like radiates this kind of spiritual experience. And I'm sure everyone on this call has had some kind of spiritual experience as well. And so what this mystic experience is, it's an experience, and that's the key. It's not a belief. It's not an understanding. It's something you actually experience in your mind and body and psyche. It's beyond everyday perception. It's kind of, you could call it an altered state of consciousness. It's also referred to as gnosis, which simply means experiential knowing. It's a transformative awareness. What happens is when you have this experience, your awareness of the nature of reality and your place in the world and everything is transformed. Some people call it cosmic consciousness or nirvana. Perhaps it's an experience of transcendence. You're transcending your normal everyday consciousness. Non-duality is another way to describe it, but it's an experience of non-duality, not an intellectual understanding of it. You could also experience this on multi-dimensional levels. You can have an experience of being in multiple dimensions at one time. It could be a flash of intense awareness or intense clarity that causes you to have a shift in perspective. And there's a saying that God is the one that became the many while yet remaining the one. And I really like that saying. That's really where the goal of the mystic is going, is to experience this unity and connectedness. So, and people have been seeking this experience since the beginning, right? It might happen spontaneously to someone outside of religion, outside of any seeking for it, or it may happen through seeking, which can happen chanting, drumming, song is one way, psychedelics, peyote, ayahuasca. People have ritual ceremonies and religious ceremonies in which they apply peyote and ayahuasca in seeking that experience. Meditation, yoga, ritual, ceremony, and then there's mystery schools, which people participate in, and initiations, which can occur. And then almost every religion, the goal of almost every religion is this understanding of God and our place in the universe. So it can happen through that or through self-study, many ways, right? And when we become aware of our own profound interconnectedness and we embrace all of that reciprocal relationship we have with each other and with the world, and actually with all beings that live in it, then we begin to heal and to make the world whole around us. So how do we do that, right? How do we remember ourselves? And how do we shift our awareness? So the Tarot will give us some clues. So William Blake said that in the universe, there's things that are known and things that are unknown. And in between, there are doors. And the Tarot is one of those doors. Of course, there's many more, but that's the one we're going to be looking at today. And the reason the Tarot works really is, I like what Joseph Campbell says here, the mystery of life, or what he calls transcendent reality. You can't really capture it in words. We're trying to talk about it here, but really words don't really have, they're not really capable. But he says symbols and mythic metaphors like the Tarot, they point outside of themselves and they point into that reality. And then Oswald Wirth, who created the Wirth Tarot, he says the essential function of a Tarot, the symbol, is to explore the unknown, right? And paradoxically, to communicate with the incommunicable. And James Wanless, who created the Voyager Tarot, and he calls himself a symbologist, and he said symbols are messengers of the spirit. And that is, to me, I've had that experience over and over. They really are. Carl Jung tells us that we all have an inherent ability to create archetypes and symbols, like birds who know how to build nests or how to migrate, or salmon that know how to swim upriver. It's the same thing. So that is why the tarot and symbolic communication works so well because it's part of our inherent nature as human beings, right? And Waite, who created the Waite-Smith deck, said true tarot is symbolism, and it speaks no other language and offers no other signs. And on the highest planes, it's a key to the mysteries. And the tarot cards are actually called keys. Sometimes they're key 1, key 2, and so on. They're also called gates of light and many other names. The tarot gives us really practical advice that we can talk about mysticism and spiritual experiences, but it's practical because it tells us how to facilitate this integration of our all of ourselves and the spiritual unfoldment. It tells us how to do it. And so when we allow those symbols that are in the tarot and these images and archetypes to actually really touch us feelingly, deeply, emotionally, then they begin to promote change within us, because every card's like a glyph of our mind and our body and our spirit, really what it is to be human. So here's the tarot tableau. And this is, we have 3 rows of 7 cards with the Fool on top. And the Fool is said to dance among all of the cards. He's part of all of them. And really, when we look at the relationship between cards, every card, we understand it better when we look at their relationship to each other. And there's many ways to look at this tableau. There's different explanations of it and different ways to explore it. But the way we're going to look at it today is that the first line represents kind of principles and laws. For instance, the Magician is the law of attention or concentration. And then the second line would be functions and agency. So those laws operate through these functions here, and then they produce the results of the third line. And so that's how we're going to look at that. And we read the cards here from this first row. So let's, you can see the example, the Magician, the law of attention works through the function of repetition and of suggestion, and then it will either liberate or keep you in the same chains that you have. So the journey of spiritual unfoldment is really about the last line there, the last 7 cards that are on the tarot tableau. And the first one's the Devil, who represents bondage or sleep, kind of a self-imposed prison, right? And then we move to the second card, the Tower, which is really a wake-up call, right? Awakening. It looks pretty exciting. And then we move to the Star, revelation and discovery. And then the Moon, which is about integrating our shadow and doing that work. And the Sun, illumination, regeneration. Judgment, which is about self-realization and a call to serve a higher purpose. And then the World, which is cosmic consciousness, or that experience we've been talking about, and being liberated from our illusion of separateness. Here's the column that we have, that we're our first column, where we have the attention and concentration. That's what's working here. That's the law. He's saying, what do you want to grow in the garden of your life? So the Magician is kind of tending his wonderful garden with attention, right? And attention is what directs the power of our life into whatever we're looking at or focusing on. But that's because our mind is our magician, right? And whatever we create inside first, then can happen outside. What we pay attention to is what grows. So that could be weeds or flowers, our choice, right? And that operates through suggestion. So that's our subconscious mind there. So whatever we're looking at and focusing on and thinking about is giving suggestions to our subconscious, who says, well, I'll be happy to help you with that. And if we take action and repeat those daily actions, we create patterns. And then patterns can be helpful to us, or they can be, they can get in our way and stop us from doing what we want to do, right? And that's kind of that taming of the inner beast. But that has to be done by daily increments and by love. This is all about love, right? Repetitive daily actions create patterns that support our intentions. And here's the big one. Because after the Devil here, if we take responsibility for our own words, our own choices, our own actions, that's a courageous act. And that gives us strength. And that strength is what we need to move out of this comfort zone here of the Devil and claim our own power. So when it becomes more uncomfortable to remain in this self-imposed prison, then we will change and wake up, right? We lift off those chains and go out into the unknown and liberate ourselves. And we might continue to return to this state as we discover more hidden patterns and chains in this continual cycle of liberation, which is kind of cool, really. Have here in your handouts, I've included these tarot spreads for unfoldment. And they really, here's the first one, and you have them in your handouts, but these are really helpful if you want to delve into any of these different stages of unfoldment. You can, this is the devil one, and his first question is, what do I need to do to wake up in my life and for my greater good? What do I need to wake up to in my life for my greater good? Or where in life are there patterns that served me in the past, but now need to be released? And what support do I have to help me face these fears and leave my comfort zone? And you can pull cards for each of those, and you can, and then the tower is the same one, and it goes on through all of them, right? So those are good. And then what can we do to deepen our experience? How can we use the tarot to help us along this path of awakening? And we're all going to be doing this. I love the tarot as a way to do it. And what we pay attention to grows. That's what the magician taught us, right? And he says, meditate on the cards. You can take a card every day, pull it, meditate on it. That could just mean putting it up in your on your desk, or in your pasting it on your mirror or whatever, so that you see it and look at it and interact, and then interact with it. Look for where the energy and archetypes show up in your life. Like take the devil card, sit him up there, and look and see where where in the world or in life you see these archetypes showing up in the world. Another fun thing to do is color your own tarot cards. And I have info about that in the handouts. And that's a way to engage with them, and then they go into your subconscious in a deeper way. And tarot journaling is another one. And there's some information about that as well in the handouts. And I always encourage people to find some like-minded people to study with. It's a lot of fun to talk about these things, or to not even study, but just to be with people that are interested in the same things you are, is really kind of a wonderful gift. And love yourself where you are. Love your life as it is and where you are right now, because that's where you need to be. And tarot's just one door. There's many others that you can explore for this path. But in the handouts, you have the Heartbeat of Tarot, which is all about choosing and response and free will. That's how it's illustrated in the tarot. And then resources where you can find the cards to color, and ways to do journaling, and then spreads to explore spiritual unfoldment. So those are all available to you. And if you'd like to stay in touch, you can find me at themysticaltarot.com. And also we have a study group on Facebook where we do discuss the very things that we've been talking about today and go into some detail about that. So you're welcome to join that as well. So I will wish you all a very beautiful and wonderful life and continuing unfoldment. Thank you.